Warning, this episode of Fanatic Fiction contains massive spoilers for story, past sins. If you haven't read it yet, click on the link provided below. Read it, then listen. For those of you who have read it, enjoy.
Welcome, I am Befallen Tragedy.
I'm Lightning.
I'm E-Dragon.
I'm AR again.
And welcome to Fanatic Fiction. On this episode, we are going to be discussing the story Past Sins.
We feel sorry for you.
Yes, we do. We're sorry, terribly. Alright, so, first impressions. Let's say you open up the document and read the first couple paragraphs of the first chapter. What do you think?
It's an interesting concept. The very first part of the story is about Twilight being kidnapped by this cult of ponies.
A cult.
And they are
sorry, puns.
Performing some kind of ritual. And so it drags you in right away saying, okay, what's going on? Why did they capture Twilight? And what's going to happen next?
Okay, the first thing I always noticed was the cover image, which is right on the top of the document, which basically kind of summarizes everything in picture form.
Mm-hmm.
Now are you talking about the cover image? It's like the actual cover for the story, or the image right above where it says Prelude?
I'm pretty sure he's talking about the whole story.
Okay.
The image that's on the first page in the Prelude.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the whole cover for story, because that will be involved with first impressions, because it's supposed to give you the idea of what this story is about. That's what the picture of a story does.
Mm-hmm.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, you got a picture of a boat under the sea. Oh, it's about boats in the ocean. Anyways.
Alright.
Anyway, it's Twilight's caught by a cult, and it's like, how did that happen? And how is she getting out of this? So you really kind of want to know.
Yes, indeed. It's my turn now to talk of first impressions. Well, let's see here. My first impressions were on the way it was written. Very, very novelistic, artistic-like. I say that because, you have a lot of stories where sometimes it'll be like, well, then they walked over here. But it's getting into detail of every single thing going on within the scenery. It's very descriptive in how it describes what it's stating. I personally love stories like that because I can get more involved and in depth with the stories that are like that. And I was also looking at the...
So one thing, just take note that this is Penstroke that wrote this story. Penstroke is probably one of the most notable writers in the community at this time. He's probably one of the best writers that we've got in this fandom.
Yeah. But I really took note of that. Penstroke is a really amazing writer. But I also took note of, like you were just saying, E-Dragon, it was the artwork. It was, for the Prelude, you have a little image with a little circle thing shown with a little pony in black and candlelights, which describes the first scene. And it brings you into the story, giving you a picture of the scene. Okay, then you get into the story and starts describing the action of the story. I was also into, like I was saying a bit ago, the cover image for the whole story. You really get an idea of what the story is about. So, personally, it really drew my attention, the story did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just realized that the cover image and the image at the top of the Prelude are the same image.
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever I first read it, it was back whenever the first season version was still out.
Day. No.
It was before the season 2 revision they did, which, by the way, I think is one of the stupidest things they did with this story. Get to that later. But I'm reading it, and I do take note of the how well it's written, but it's like in the back of my mind. I try to become like ingrained in the scene of what's happening, and it automatically has a very dark tone to it. And I love stories that have a dark tone that feel like something bad's going to happen.
He has evil backstory to himself.
Actually, no, I don't.
You have a dark side to you. Anyways,
the dark side. But yeah, I do like the dark feeling about it. Like the names they give them, Spell Nexus and all this other names for the cult ponies, just give it like that dark, heavy feeling. Mm-hmm. It very well it sets a tone very well for the whole story in general, I think. Okay, so then we get into let's skip right ahead to Twilight whenever she finds Nyx in the woods. This Twilight. Let's skip ahead to whenever Twilight finds Nyx in the woods. What were your thoughts?
Well, let's explain this a little bit. First of all, we didn't know her name was Nyx. Twilight goes back into the woods
because she forgot her saddlebag.
Right, and she ends up hearing a rustling in the bushes, and she finds this black alicorn filly. It's, and I can't remember quite that far back. Does she realize immediately that it's...
She notices the eyes, which are Nightmare Moon's eyes.
Okay, yeah. So she kind of realizes that this could possibly be a filly version of Nightmare Moon, which is kind of weird. It's...
In fact, Twilight's initial reaction was anger because she actually thought it was Nightmare Moon. She actually scared Nyx really bad because she started getting really angry with her.
But she realized that, Nyx was getting scared and eventually just took her home to monitor, I guess, what exactly this filly was and
stuff like
try
that.
to... Yes.
Experimentation on the filly like a lab rat. No, not exactly, but...
Twilight being Twilight.
That's a good
Science.
explanation. For science! Anyway.
I don't really know what I can add to that. She finds the little filly, and she immediately notices the eyes, which immediately remind her of Nightmare Moon, and she becomes frightened and angry with this, thinking back, because she remembers something about how the cult mentioned Nightmare Moon, and she kind of makes a slight connection, like maybe this is what they tried to do. But it terrifies the filly, and she starts getting really cut up trying to back into the thorn bush that she was hiding in. And eventually Twilight's, become the nice mayor that she is, takes the filly in because it's a filly. It's a filly. You can't be mean to a filly.
Well, you can.
Unless it's Scootaloo.
You can. It'd just be wrong and horrible of you.
Unless it's Scootaloo.
Yeah, then it's just like...
I like Scootaloo.
I love Scootaloo. I hate all those stories that keep making her suffer. They're so commonplace.
Anywho, yes. I really can't go over much else because, honestly, we've all gone over to the same thing. We all have the similar ideas about the entirety of her meeting the filly and how that works out. And, of course, it's wrestling in bushes. That's how everything is found. The wrestling in the bushes thing is a common thing throughout stories involving forests. Either you're going to die or it's a squirrel. It's one of those two things all the time. And that's sort of the controversy of it. The wrestling in the bushes is a fear. It's a fear of not knowing what it is that could possibly be after you. Whether that squirrel wants the marshmallow in your pocket or it's a giant bear wanting to eat the head off of your neck.
Why do you have a marshmallow in your pocket?
Because you can. That's simply... I personally would have a marshmallow in my pocket. That is just me. But
yeah, you're in the woods. You're obviously camping, so you must have marshmallows.
Exactly. That is actually a great reason. But we digress. Now... like I was saying, though, it's sort of like a little, anger. It's sort of a conflicting emotions going on with Twilight, going on with that, because obviously you have filly anger going inside of you for doing what Nightmare Moon did. Then again, she defeated Nightmare Moon, so why would she be so concerned about that, is my question. Anyways.
Good transition, because my thoughts were this sets up... After reading it, I went back, and this chapter, this moment, sets up the message for the story quite well. It's you have to ignore the past. You have to forgive somebody for what they have done.
That's the whole moral of the story right there.
Exactly, it sets it up quite nicely here. Yeah, where she's a filly, and Twilight can tell. Oh well, obviously she's a little Nightmare Moon, but she's just a filly.
Nightmare Moon. Sorry, I scarred some of you folks in the audience, so sorry about that, all two of you.
But she, she's like, but she's just a filly. She doesn't know any better. I'll take her in. I have to hide her, stuff like that. It's just... Can I say human nature when referring to ponies, or do I have to say pony nature?
Well, human nature is the most common... it'd work out better than saying pony nature, because pony nature's... It's based off of our nature, the series is... For the most part.
Pony nature is more or less the best of our human nature.
More or less the best, yeah. But still.
Human and or pony nature just draws us to...
Stuff.
Give. I think.
Curse you, Rarity! Anyways.
Why don't they have an element of forgiveness? Never mind.
That wouldn't work out too well.
Because I needed to add a new character, and they're not ready for that.
They're gonna, well, one, it would do that, and then secondly, it would constantly be like, oh, I'm so sorry, you just walked in my doorway, I'm so sorry!
They already have Fluttershy for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was
Kindness and forgiveness are something that work well together. That's why they don't have an element of forgiveness. Forgiveness goes along with kindness.
Which is shown in the end when Luna's talking to all the ponies about Nyx. Fluttershy immediately wants to forgive her for
Exactly.
what we will eventually tell.
Element of kindness.
Okay. What happens next in the story?
School. Well, actually, no. Next, she takes her to Rarity
yeah.
for a disguise.
Right, the disguise.
Oh, because Rarity owes her
She
the
has
favor.
glasses already, doesn't she?
What was that?
The glasses? She gets
The
them.
glasses and the vest.
Yeah. Can't remember.
And the headband.
And the headband.
The biggest thing about
What was the headband for?
Because Rarity would not let it go without doing something with her hair.
Right.
Just because. It's Rarity. That's what the headband was for. Because.
so
It-
now,
yeah.
just clarification: the glasses had a spell on them so that it changed her eye color, because that was the biggest thing about Nyx, is that she had Nightmare Moon's eyes.
Yeah. I don't know if it changed the color, but it made him not dragon-like.
Well, right. And then the vest was to hide her wings, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
With the excuse that all the other fillies would be jealous.
Not to be so jealous of this costume, my dear. Anyways.
I think.
You think?
Okay. I like Rarity as a character.
I didn't like it at
I know-
first, but I just find her one-liners hilarious throughout the series.
In the fanon, she's a very good character. She's portrayed as both forgiving yet.
See, this is like a moment right here.
Like,
This moment seems like you being Spike and complimenting. She's smart. She's beautiful. She's. Well, she did something with her hair. Anyways,
She is second best pony. Don't forget that.
and my second best is Fluttershy. Sorry,
Yeah, you're wrong. So, anyways,
Rarity is third.
Anyways, I just like the way she's portrayed in the fandom is not a snob.
Twilight Sparkle. I was a Canterlot snob. I want to read that article now.
We are. They
Alright.
are. You've thrown us terribly off topic.
Well, of course, it's my job. Apparent randomness. Remember that. Right. Now then, back to the school thing. Let's go on back to that with the blah
That was
blending in.
that was a big point in the story, was when she went to school, because that's when she met the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and that was
Yes.
not necessarily right then at that point, but it turned out to be a big deal later on in the story that she became friends with the Cutie Mark Crusaders
Yeah,
and
she
actually
was
became one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
She
think,
also met Diamond Tiara, though. That was a big deal, too.
Well, yeah, that will.
I don't think it was good judgment on Twilight's part to send her to school.
Well, to keep up to the skies.
Yeah,
But
that's
Twilight's
true,
not
but
for
I
schooler.
think Twilight Sparkle would have a better time hiding in the library, because once a library, not a lot of ponies go out to read unless they're eggheads. But you also have let's see, what I was going to say something else as well, but Twilight could educate her herself. With all the books and vast knowledge that Twilight has, she could easily just educate at home, but that's just changing the topic of the story. We have our ideas what we would like to see, but it's been done is done, so we're commenting on what's been done.
Like, the whole excuse they came up with is that it was Twilight's cousin that had come to visit. She didn't really necessarily need to bring her to school.
I think it's just really Twilight's egg-headedness that says, okay, she needs to get an education. That's probably like the
Twilight
second...
actually at one point said that she was getting fed up with having Nyx around all the time because her curiosity was endless, and Twilight had no time to do her own investigation of Nightmare Moon. So it was kind of a way to get her out of the house so she could do her own thing.
That works as well.
I thought it was more of a way to of social interaction. I thought that was what the point was for going to school.
There was definitely a lot of...
Yeah, it was probably It was probably social interaction and dealt a lot with Twilight being annoyed. Those are probably the two main reasons, really, for her sending her to school.
And when she was at school is when you found out about her thirst for curiosity, because she would constantly ask questions and keep the other students behind, and it kind of led to the whole point where a lot of the other students didn't like her because she was just constantly asking questions and keeping them in school longer than they had to be.
It led to surprise Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon being pitches.
Yes.
Shocker.
What a shocking discovery!
Let's talk about what Diamond Tiara and them did.
Well,
They ultimately caused all the bad stuff.
Did that happen before or after the school play?
That happened before.
Yeah, before.
Okay, because eventually they ended up bringing Diamond Tiara back into the forest, and actually to the castle of the Royal Pony Sisters,
When
where
did Diamond Tiara go to the castle?
was defeated.
I don't think she went to the castle.
Yeah, Nyx ended up at the castle.
Yeah, Nyx did.
Yeah. But yeah, it was Diamond Tiara that ended up telling Nyx to go into the forest, and Nyx ended up going to the castle where Moon was defeated. That's where she got some of her memories back.
That's where she got, like... Well, she didn't know they were her memories. She just saw the visions, and she went to Twilight and was really scared.
Right.
Like, oh, I didn't want to hurt you.
Shut up, Spike.
I'm so sorry, Mommy.
She absorbed some of the leftover essence from when Nightmare Moon was defeated the second time at the castle.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Really, it's true. Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon caused everything that bad happened to that story.
Yeah.
Whenever I was reading it, when I was reading their plan, I'm like, no, you idiots! What are you doing?
Steepy, you idiot!
How do I reach these keys?
Anyways.
I just kept thinking, like, are you serious? I mean, this is deep. This is dark even for you.
It is a dark
Like, this is the Everfree Forest. You're all terrified of this. This is like a death sentence.
This is a death sentence. Are you crazy? Righto.
Okay, Bubbleberry, calm down.
Nah, that wasn't my Bubbleberry voice, but it was close enough. Anyways.
Since we talked about a school play, whenever, of course, Nyx was cast to play, guess who? Nightmare Moon.
I think it was more because of the coat color, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. You know. But that also didn't help her memories or anything.
Thanks
so.
for the memories.
She was saying the lines in the play. She was then, of course, getting flashbacks of her saying the exact same lines in real life when, she was Nightmare Moon. So that developed her memories even more. And didn't she end up displaying some pretty powerful magic during that as well?
I think so.
Not during the play. That was later on during the street fair they had. Or
the learn and play thing.
Yeah, the learn and play day thing. But she demonstrated a lot of immersion into the role.
Yeah.
Especially at the end.
She's a very good actress, is what we're trying to state here, people.
Not at first. At first she was funny because she didn't really fit. Then she got into when her memories started kicking in with the lines that she was portraying.
Well, yeah, who better to play Nightmare Moon than Nightmare Moon?
I know.
What is this, Inception? Now then. After...
I think
yeah.
Do you guys think Twilight was right in trying to keep Nyx away from the play?
Yeah.
More than likely. Stir up memories.
No,
but
not really.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no way that Twilight could have known that doing the play would have in any way resurrected any memories.
Very true, but then again, was the school idea a good idea in itself when she sent her to school? I know it's more for just, convenience for her in a sense as well, other than just socializing. But is socializing and feeling Nightmare Moon really going to do much?
It's one of the big reasons I don't like Twilight, because everything she does, it just seems selfish, almost.
Yeah, at every point I'm like, Twilight, tell Celestia. Twilight, tell Celestia. Twilight, tell Celestia.
And she's not thinking about Nyx, really. She's thinking about herself, her own comfort.
Well, of course, it is part of it's sort of part of Twilight's personality to do something like that.
I know that's why I don't like
it's part of that personality type as well.
But I think it was wrong for her to try to keep Nyx from the play, because even though Celestia and Luna were going to be there, I mean...
Well, she's not the element of judgment and wisdom, so don't expect her to know how to deal with things. Anyways.
I know, but I think... Who am I kidding? You can't expect Twilight to be rational.
Twilight tends to overreact.
Yeah.
Another part of her personality, overreacting to a lot of situations. Lesson 0, perfect example!
Irrationally rational.
Hi, girl! Yeah.
All of her logic is sound from the crazy point of view.
Clock is ticking, Twilight. Anyways, we digress. Now, we're going after the school. What was after the school again?
Was that the Learn and Play Day? The
Yeah,
Learn
that
and
was-
Play Day where she turned Fluttershy into a tree.
Funny.
That was awesome.
I know, I love that part.
I
That
like to
made
be
me
a
laugh.
tree.
Giant pink and yellow tree.
Mm-hmm.
I expected little butterflies to be floating around it too, like to represent her cutie mark, but that's just me.
And I really wanted her to turn Pinkie Pie into a cake.
I did too. Like, ooh, cake.
Ooh.
I like cake. Cake is good. Cake is my friend.
Pinkie Pie. I wonder what I taste like. I wonder what. Actually, I probably shouldn't.
I wonder what I
shouldn't say
taste like.
So now,
What else happened at the street fair? Who was there that Twilight didn't want?
Well, wasn't that where Pinkie Pie thought she saw a spy?
Durr.
that. She did see a spy.
Yeah, that was Spell Nexus. That's right.
No,
Well,
that was the
Wait, it was the
One of the cult ponies.
the
Right.
one with the mustache and the blue
Oh,
hair.
that'd be me.
Is that-
It was clearly me. I was clearly at that fair that night.
she saw him twirling that mustache and wearing a cape.
Oh,
She
yes.
was a spy.
It was clearly Gustav Mustache.
Yes.
And that was when the cult discovered Nyx and how it could have possibly been the incomplete version of their resurrection spell.
Well, actually, they noted it was Filthy Rich who noticed her first after the play, but that was when it was confirmed after they saw the magic that she was able to do in the tug of war and the tree.
Wasn't Filthy Rich the spy?
No, Filthy Rich wasn't the spy. He was just another cultist there.
Right.
The spy was that waiter guy at the restaurant in one of the episodes.
That's it.
Look back here.
Mm-hmm. But, I love the tug of war scene where the CMC are battling
CMC are
like the big
amazing.
cult.
Into the mud, Diamond Tiara. Into the mud.
Alrighty, what was the next scene
So then-
afterwards?
So far in the story, this is where it comes to the turning point, because now you have this relationship with Twilight and Nyx growing. You have Nyx befriending pretty much the rest of the town. Pretty much everyone likes Nyx. And it gets to the point where now, all of a sudden, she has talked to Twilight, and they get into a conversation about what their relationship is, and that's when Nyx first decides to say that Twilight is like a mother to her.
Aww.
That was a really touching scene. Yeah.
It was.
And that's when things fall apart.
Yes.
Isn't it always, you're my mommy? Oh no!
Happy
Ooh,
moment.
I am-
What
Tragedy.
happens is that Celestia ends up figuring out that this could possibly be Nightmare Moon, and comes to confront Twilight about it.
At the behest of Spell Nexus, the leader of the cult.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
So Celestia comes to Twilight's place,
Good for her.
and Twilight being the
Twilight she is.
being the student and like
Twilight.
all in Princess Celestia, she tells Princess Celestia everything.
Of course.
Well, Celestia says she already pretty much knew, and it's like, this is your chance to tell me everything. Because I already know.
Yeah, Celestia's a troll.
She does.
Oh,
Basically,
well, Celestia, you
it's
see,
just
I have this
something.
filly. Oh, I know. Wait, what? Of course I know.
I'm Celestia.
I am best princess. Yeah.
No, I like Luna. Sorry. Anyways.
Let's not get into this.
Anyways.
There needs to be more Luna.
Okay, and then Celestia takes Nyx away from Twilight.
Mine!
In a very
No, Dix!
in a very sad,
It was a-
tragic scene where
the-
Nyx is fighting Celestia and calling out, "Mommy, don't let her take me, Mommy!" And everybody's crying.
And I'm like, Celestia, you idiot!
Mostly Spike crying, but still.
Spike was trapped behind the kitchen door.
Yeah.
Spike is.
In its place.
Spike was crying. Spike was still crying. He was trapped behind the kitchen door. Either way, Spike would be crying. He's a very sensitive being.
Well, Twilight
was enjoying his tea.
Twilight was like catatonic for like the entire thing.
She was in
Didn't
shock.
hear any of it at all, and couldn't stop it from happening. You know, and it's like she was supposed to bring Nyx back to Camelot, do a couple tests, and then bring her back in the morning if it was decided that she wasn't a
threat.
danger to, a threat to Equestria.
Mhm.
Of course, that didn't happen. She delivered them. She delivered Nyx right to Spell
Spell Nexus.
who immediately started up with his drawing pentagrams on the floor and shit.
Yay.
Okay, Spell Nexus, here's Nyx. Now please perform this test I asked of you. Okay.
Okay.
Whip away.
Now, did this happen? This happened in Ponyville, right? Like it was the town square of Ponyville where they did this, right?
It was in the castle at first, but then something happened and it teleported them to Ponyville.
Okay.
I yawned.
Because I remember
That they could complete it before Celestia and Luna could react.
for this entire thing,
Yes.
and
Okay.
when Nyx turned into Nightmare Moon.
Alright, now this is going to be the part where I have a big problem with the
Oh,
story.
no.
When she turns into Nightmare Moon.
Right. Let's go over that then.
She immediately goes, oh, I'm Nightmare Moon. You all are going to pay. And even before then, she was like, she was crying to Twilight. She's like, oh, I don't want to hurt you. I love you. You're my mommy. That was like the scene right before that. And in between, they had the scene where Nyx, I guess, thinks Twilight abandons her.
Yeah, that always happens with stories like this. In situations where kidnapping, they betrayed you, convincing reverse psychology.
Well, think about it.
But
Celestia dragged her away, and Twilight did nothing in front.
Exactly. Like I said, that
Twilight did nothing.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of behind this betrayal and blah. Yes.
But I don't feel like that was a reasonable reaction from Nyx. Was just like this sudden transition into, I am evil, I am Nightmare Moon, I will kill you all.
It was more than that, though, because the completion of the spell also brought back more of her memories, and more than just memories, there were also
Yeah,
feelings.
exactly.
And
The
so
loathing,
It brought
the
back the
hatred.
Nightmare Moon that was before when she was destroyed. She's obviously gonna...
At least some of it.
Exactly, and
Not-
having the
not-
memories of
not
being
everything.
destroyed by
Not
Twilight
everything.
Sparkle and friends isn't going to cope well with...
With a feeling of betrayal from Twilight Sparkle and friends.
well, yeah, and see, so Nyx had already felt a little bit betrayed because she let Celestia take her. That, coupled with the fact that she had those memories and feelings added to her when the spell was completed finally, it just kind of compounded and made the feeling even more intense.
I guess I just have an issue with it for some reason. Ignore me.
Okay.
That's fine. So
Okay.
after ignoring Befallen Tragedy right here, we're going to move on to... I don't remember what the next part was. What was it?
It's the castle. It's whenever they take Nyx to the castle.
The castle.
Twilight and
What an
Join-
awesome castle.
yeah.
I want a castle like that.
I don't know. The Diamond Dogs built it. Wasn't that the thing?
No,
The
I-
Diamond Dogs hollowed out the cavern and dug up all the ore. I think they built it themselves with them as the Diamond Dogs as like a labor source.
Right, yeah.
I don't get that. I mean, I don't get why the Diamond Dogs would willingly help the ponies.
Yeah, no one does. It wasn't really explained. In fact, that's actually a point. It's like Nightmare Moon's like, bring me a Diamond Dog. I want to ask them about this. Oh, we don't know where they went. They went off somewhere. They're not around anymore. Oh, okay.
It was just a convenient plot piece at
Yeah.
the time.
Right.
Essentially, yeah. I would have liked to know why the Diamond Dogs did it, honestly.
The point being that the castle's underground.
Yeah.
So so Twilight needs to do this
Scream.
scrying spell. And no, she doesn't do it on Nightmare Moon because it doesn't work. She does it on
The spy that Pinkie Pie found.
right? Because Pinkie Pie identifies who the spy is, and they go over to his house, which is
Twilight does. The rest of them don't know she's there.
right. And she uses a piece of his belongings to do a scrying spell, and realizes that at one point in time he disappears from the scrying spell, and she goes to that location, finds the entrance to the cavern, and goes in to try to talk to Nyx or Nightmare Moon.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Correct.
What he said. Now then.
I'm trying. And in the meantime, Nightmare Moon / Nyxmare Moon,
Nyxmare Moon.
is in the castle with Spell Nexus and the rest of the cult, and they're kind of giving her the grand tour of everything. And the whole time, Nyx is just... Yeah, the whole time, Nyx is just like, yeah, cool.
Well,
Just not paying attention, really.
There-
Ixnay on the Nightmare Moon, eh?
they take into account a lot of things that you never really would have thought of. Like the point is that she's bringing eternal light to Equestria. So what do they have? They are developing plants that thrive in moonlight. They're developing
heating lamps to keep the cold back.
To keep everything warm. It's just kind of like
preparation for their plan.
I appreciated that, by the way. I appreciated all the thought that went into that.
It covered up the plot hole from the original Nightmare Moon.
Exactly. I appreciated that.
It failed utterly.
It failed utterly, but it filled in a plot hole, and that's all that matters.
The attempt was made.
They did a pretty good job on it too. And I during this time you kind of like see the inner battle between Nightmare Moon and Nyx, where like the Nightmare Moon side is just like, this is a monument to me, and the Nyx is just like, okay, this is kind of creepy. I don't like this. I don't like being the center of attention.
Well, and now this is really interesting because this story, being that half of it is done where it's actually Nightmare Moon as a full-grown mare. It's a character that wasn't really developed in the main series, being that the episodes that she was in were focusing more on developing the personality of the main six because it was the 2 pilot episodes. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't really focusing on developing her character as much. So you have this character that's somewhat underdeveloped, mm-hmm. and you have to do an entire story about her.
Yes. I guess the thing is, but it doesn't really expand upon Nightmare Moon's personality as much as it expands upon the battle between like the inner innocent child and the violent body and the violent past that came with it.
Yeah, the real Nightmare Moon was never actually in the story. There was Nyx Nightmare Moon and Luna past Nightmare Moon.
Well, the real Nightmare Moon was in the story, but we'll get to that later when we talk about the ending.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens after the castle? Does the castle finally rise up, or does it take them a while?
It takes them a while.
She conquers Equestria before that.
Twilight goes in to try to talk to Nyx and gets captured by Spell Nexus.
Because she's actually trying to save him, thinking he was kidnapped for information. She doesn't realize he was in charge.
Wait, does that happen first, or does the takeover of Canterlot Castle happen first?
No, she gets captured first.
Okay.
Yeah, because when she confronts Celestia, it's like, where's Twilight? She's in my dungeon.
Right.
Oh, she's in my dungeon. Oh, okay. I'm just going to go and get her. Just ignore me.
And that's when she ends up capturing Twilight. Now, does she talk to Twilight at all before she's put in the dungeon?
I don't think
she's taken straight to the dungeon, beaten up by all the guards and Spell Nexus, and then brought before Nightmare Moon, who was very angry about the beatings because she specifically ordered them not to be.
She still feels some kind of connection to Twilight. Doesn't want her harmed. She doesn't get executed as like Spell Nexus wanted. She ends up being put in the dungeon, and she tells Spell Nexus to make sure she is unharmed and keep her fed and
well fed and comfortable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the first instance that you see that maybe she's not quite the same Nightmare Moon as she used to be, and that gets shown more later on as well.
I think actually the first thing to see that is whenever the Grand Tour of the Castle is happening, and they're pointing out all these murals and like stained glass windows and Nightmare Moon defeating the princesses and stuff.
That good stuff.
Nyx's thoughts are just going like,
monster.
Yeah, Nyx's thoughts are just like, this is not me. I'm not this monster.
Yay, conflicting thoughts.
That's always fun.
It always is.
So then after she captures Twilight is when she says, okay, I want to raise the castle, but I can't do that until we take care of the
Royal Pony Sisters.
The two Royal Pony Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So, how is it that she gets Luna away from the castle? There's something.
Celestia and Luna are dividing their forces. As one rests, the other one goes out with the army to try and find them. So there's always one in Canterlot and one out, except for the brief crossover moment. So Nightmare Moon goes in when Celestia first returns from her shift, and she's really tired to confront her then, and then waits until Luna comes back afterwards so she can fight them one-on-one.
Right, and the battle between Nightmare Moon and Celestia was really cool because it's not something you see in the show because they actually like summon these material blades.
Jedi versus Sith.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and fight like that, which I think was pretty cool. I'd actually like to see that in the show, but I mean, I'm sure that's not going to happen.
I like how Luna used two short blades, and Celestia was the traditional one-hander.
Yeah, Luna went all crazy.
Well, they don't even have hands, so the one hoofer? Maybe? I don't know.
Let's not get into that.
No, we are going to get into this and solve this problem. What did you use to attack her? No, probably...
Magic.
Yeah, actually, probably magic, so they
It was magic.
That's what it was. They don't use hooves to fight. Well, I suppose they can customize stuff. I think wing blades would be a more sort of option for swords, attaching swords to your wings and attacking that way.
So Celestia... let's get back on the topic. Celestia went really easy on Nyx. Like, she was holding back. She was pulling her punches.
Well, she was still feeling bad about, the whole thing anyway because she thinks it's her fault.
It is your fault, Celestia. It always is.
It was her fault.
You exist. It's your fault.
Okay.
She handed Nyx straight to the cult.
She didn't know that. That's easily
But by all definition, it technically was her fault.
Yeah. And also, see, right there, Celestia doesn't know about the cult, but she knew about the filly at Twilight's house.
Well, she saw the filly at Twilight's house when she visited Twilight, and the
the
filly
stalker
at
she
the
is.
restaurant next to their house.
Yeah, and also, the play had her in it, and yeah.
Clearly.
They saw her. It's kind of hard to not see the star of the show.
Well, she had no reason to believe Spell Nexus, her most trusted advisor, was the leader of the
It
cult.
always is the most trusted advisor is always the leader. Have you seen Aladdin with Jafar?
Well, I mean, even have you guys seen the newest Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, the bad guy ends up being Bruce Wayne's most trusted advisor.
It's a very common story element to have in these types of stories where you have an advisor and a cult. Obviously, the most trusted advisor is more than likely going to be the cult leader.
For one reason or another.
Because nobody really expects it, but, now we do,
Yeah.
so... Never mind.
In this case, because he was the one that was most likely to be influenced by the high evils because he was asked to study Nightmare Moon's remains.
Not to mention, he had an evil freaking name. Come on.
Spell Nexus isn't really an evil name.
It's not evil.
It's just the way you interpret it and the way the character's been given. You can't think of them another way. It's like a name to something.
You're telling me if there was a character that was introduced in MLP and his name was Spell Nexus and he had the same color scheme as Spell Nexus, that you wouldn't think this guy's a bad egg.
That depends. Have I read this story or not?
Very true.
That season 3 bad guy, his name's gonna be Spell Nexus.
I just know it.
I thought it was the Crystallion.
I get it, Crystallion. Moving on. We digress, people. Now then.
Now, the cool thing about the fight is that I think Nightmare Moon clearly intends to kill both the sisters, but doesn't. Instead, she ends up banishing them to both the sun and the moon, respectively.
Yeah, she doesn't kill anyone.
Well, technically, she would just kill Celestia.
died.
She banished her to the sun. I mean, come on.
She banished her essence.
Close
to the
enough.
sun, not her.
Anywho.
We'll go over that a little bit later, but
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much what it is that Celestia says that
She's
being
showing mercy.
in the sun is more like a warm, comforting,
Some cheesy
embrace.
line about the sun's radiance and warmth.
Yeah.
Right.
I am the sun. I am beautiful and radiant.
I am
But she
sunny.
is-
And
Hey there, Sunny. Sorry.
Well,
I
and
feel
then there's
bad for
Luna.
Luna then. Cold.
Then there's Luna, who's in the moon, which is cold and dead and rocky and not beautiful.
Luna, we love you. Come back.
No, go away. Stay away.
that they go over that, I mean, the fandom completely misinterpreted because literally Luna got banished in the moon. Not to the moon. She's not on the surface. She's literally
She
in
probably
the
had,
moon.
Yeah,
from
that's
the
what
last
they call the
experience
mayor
she
in
had
the
there,
moon.
you'd think she would sort of have, like, a little gazebo in there, or she has a pool underneath the moon, she has a 5-star hotel or something. She probably has her she probably already has the Wii U in there.
Gamer Luna.
Yep. Two best sisters. Anywho, more digressing and back to the story finally. But
it just keep sending video games out there. She'll be fine.
Okay. Let me think.
Maybe.
What happened next? Did the CMC then go to the castle?
Where did we leave off?
We left off after the battle and after the banishing.
Right. After the banished is when she finally raises her castle to the surface, and that's also when she makes it Eternal Night. And I think it's like a week or 2 weeks later that the CMC go to Cheerily and try to figure out what's going on because like no one's telling them what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so Cheerily, being their teacher, wanting to help them out, tells them, Nyx is confused, but she's the one that's causing all this to happen.
How's she just confused?
Honestly, would you tell your little sister that that one of their best friends is now the evil overlord of the country?
Yeah.
Sure. That means you got connections to the most powerful person in the world. I would totally capitalize on that.
I'd be like, Kayla, your best friend's ruling the country. Tell her I said hi, and I kind of want an ice cream right now. But she's evil. I don't care. Make her happy. Give her some playing cards or something.
So anyway,
get me and her some ice cream.
Right? Anyways.
Players being have decided to go and confront Nyx and say, hey
baby.
Hang out.
What? Hey, Nyx, baby.
And so they devised this elaborate scheme to sneak into the castle, which actually works.
Somehow.
Surprisingly well.
I'm kind of surprised that they were actually able to do that.
It's a CMC.
The most well-guarded castle in the country, and three little fillies can get into it.
It's a CMC. They're CMC castle invading.
Kingdom of Crusader Spies!
Kingdom of Crusader Spies.
Anyway, they end up making it all the way to Nightmare Moon's quarters without being detected. And what is Nightmare Moon's reaction?
She's angry at first, but then she kind of like calms down and has to explain to him.
I don't remember her being angry, just kind of shocked that they're there.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily anger, more of shock, in a sense of the word. Shock.
How did you get here?
Yeah, that's basically, how did you get into the most highly secured castle in all of the land? Oh, that was easy. We came in the front entrance, says Apple Bloom. Yeah, it was a cinch, said Scootaloo. I really like your mane, said Sweetie Belle. Anyways.
Can I address something real quick? Okay, hold on. AR and A-Dragon, your two voices sound remarkably similar.
No,
really?
no, we don't. No.
Nonsense.
Blah. Nonsense.
I keep on getting you two mixed up when I'm not looking directly at the Skype chat.
How do you get us mixed up? You know that I do a lot more emotional voice changes and voice cracks intentionally.
But when you're just talking normally and he is, I can't tell.
Okay, I can talk normal.
And you barely know me at all.
You barely know him!
But I know your voice.
My voice is better. Anyways.
Back on track.
I think we forgot about one very important thing, though.
What happened?
Trixie.
Well, that's still coming up, isn't it?
No, that was before the Kingdom of Crusaders showed up.
Yeah, okay, well, at one point in time, the rest of the main six decide to confront
Nightmare Moon.
And they can't sneak into the castle.
The castle hasn't been raised yet. Actually, no, it was just been raised. That's
raised from the dead.
Right.
Oh.
And they get Trixie to sub in for the element of magic.
Trixie, congratulations! You're the new element of magic. Wait, what?
That failed.
Which is kind of funny because it's not really. They should have known that it's their friendship that makes them work. That's why it didn't work when they tried to use it against Discord. They just at that point in time weren't friends.
Sleeping in the middle of a summer afternoon.
So, yeah, remember, Luna and Celestia never told them that part.
Because Celestia's such a troll, she probably didn't even tell Luna about it.
quite frankly, everything that goes wrong in this story is all because of a lack of information.
Yeah, it's lack
No
of
one
information,
knows
but another
anything.
thing is a lot of situations involving anything with Equestria always start off with Celestia somehow. It's always her fault one way or another.
Lack of communication. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the elements of harmony. This is probably one of the biggest things that was like, okay, there's Nightmare Moon is definitely not how she used to be, because what's your reaction to six mares trying to banish you to, well, I guess
Kill you, basically.
pretty much trying to kill you. You set them.
Well, that
free.
depends. It's my first time in Equestria.
Of course.
She takes the elements of harmony and sets them all
It
free.
sets them on fire. I mean, all free. Free.
And then she does a wonderful reenactment of Trixie's behavior.
That was great. I love that.
I was disappointed with the crowd in Ponyville for not laughing at that. That was funny.
That was
It
funny.
was.
I don't care if this is a monster that you hate and fear for your life. That is comedy.
Comedy knows no bounds.
Okay, I'm trying to think what happens. She releases the CMC after, what, like 6 weeks in the dungeon?
Was it that long? I thought it was only like
two or-
one or two.
I thought it was 6.
Remember, when she has the open court, it was Rarity and Tweedledum's parents that came,
And didn't ask for the son.
right, yeah, they came
They
and
asked for the daughter.
if they could get their daughter back.
Give me my daughter,
I think that-
fool! Oh! Anyways,
I don't know who you are, but I will find you. Kill you.
again.
Well, because it was when Nightmare Moon went out of the castle and met up with Twist.
Twist. Peppermint twist?
Yes.
Oh, sweet!
And
I love candy. Whatever he says.
and it was funny because she was like, she like bonded with Twist in that moment, and like they became friends. And that's when she gave like her Cheetah Crusader cape to Twist, saying, "You don't, even if you get your mark, it doesn't mean you can't be a Cheetah Crusader."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can help everyone else get them.
Right.
Touch.
And so when Pinkie Pie comes to the castle, which was very comical because the entire night guard or whatever couldn't catch
It's,
her.
of course not. It's Pinkie Pie. One does not simply catch Pinkie Pie. It's like it's like. Oh, what am I thinking
Pinkie
of?
Pie comes to the castle and delivers an invitation to Twist's birthday party, and that's why she releases the CMC as kind of a present for Twist.
Oh yeah, she
Don't
puts him
forget
in a box, doesn't she?
Yes.
Box.
Don't forget the fudge. There was fudge.
No air holes.
No, there was air holes.
I was joking.
One or two. But, enough. They held their breath.
Hold your breath.
And
And
don't
it-
eat the fudge.
Time I was looking at the story and I'm like, there's got to be. I mean, you know what's going to happen because she's being so merciful. I mean, at some point in time, you know that she's just going to turn against Spell Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
Or Spell Nexus is going to turn against her.
Which
In some way.
actually ends up happening next, right? Because
Spell Nexus is infuriated by Nightmare Moon giving the
Well, of course.
CMC in a box
Yeah, I
as
know,
a
right?
present.
So what does he do? He uses that that initiation spell to hypnotize Twilight Sparkle into attacking Nightmare Moon, so that he can put Twilight on trial. Well, not on trial as much as a public execution.
he sentences her to death immediately.
Yes.
Yep. He wanted to make sure that he wanted to cut off the poison of kindness and, make Nightmare Moon angry again because she was betrayed by that which she cared
Poison
for.
of kindness. That right there sounds like a story in itself. The poison of kindness. Anyway, so it's an epic story title.
But it was funny because when she was attacked, she didn't become angry. She became sad and depressed.
It backfired.
So it didn't really work, and that's when she ended up going out onto the balcony and seeing Twilight.
Right.
Hey.
Yeah, being sentenced to death. And that's when she actually rescues Twilight Sparkle, and cures her of the brainwashing spell.
Which turns out to be a small piece of the real Nightmare Moon and all of her evil and malice.
Well, we'll get to that next. That's what
They
happens
don't
when
know
she...
that.
Actually, they do. That's when they find out.
Goodness. Right.
And so when she saves Twilight and she learns of Spell Nexus betraying her, is when she goes to confront him. And she decides to talk to him first.
She wants to find out what's really
like
going on. It takes every ounce of her effort to not just kill him
Yeah,
on
of
sight.
course. It's like the Luke
Right.
Skywalker, Darth Vader sort of scene. Twilight, I am your father. No, you're not. Darn it failed. That works every time. Wait, what do you mean every time? You used it before? Yes. On who? Pinkie Pie. Twilight, are you talking to my dad? Anyways, moving on.
So Q Spell Nexus opening his mouth in this dark cloud of black
Death.
mist to rise from it. Being held back by these white chains that apparently Spell Nexus has put around them. So they pretty much figure out that Spell Nexus has been pretty much possessed by the real Nightmare Moon, the malice and hatred that is her main personality.
Everything bad about her.
And has pretty much imprisoned that inside himself.
Yeah, but being the good guy he is, he trapped it in him so it couldn't get out fully.
Right.
So the main villain of this entire story was actually a hero.
Yeah, basically. I love that. Moral ambiguity.
Yay!
It's Starshine all over again.
Maybe more of the stories don't live in Equestria because Celestia rules.
Hey,
Hey,
watch your tone.
every situation is done because of her. Every situation that comes up is because of her.
She does have a pretty
She
bad
does.
track record.
Moving onwards and forwards.
So what does Nightmare Moon decide to do? She decides to kill this other version of this
The evil within.
version of herself.
The cancer.
Right.
But how? By choking it with her mane?
There was lightning involved.
Yeah, and lightning.
With lightning involved, yeah.
Lightning solves everything. Didn't you watch Return of the Jedi?
I did, yeah. I also watched episode 3. It sure cured the problem that was Mace Windu.
In the purple.
Yeah. But yeah, she kills it with like lightning and choking it, and finally it's gone. Spell Nexus is cured. And then something big happens that pretty much came out of left field.
Yeah.
Monsters!
Yeah, the creatures of the Evergreen Forest were pushed out.
Raggy.
Were pushed out due to the castle and are now encroaching in on Ponyville.
Well, now
Get Scooby-Doo and the gang. They'll
make
solve
sure we
it.
mention that this is after Nightmare Moon has decided to
Oh man, Jenkins!
Like Zoink Scoop!
chose to
Sorry. That was... Yeah,
That was
thank
good.
Go ahead, Lightning. Go ahead.
Nightmare Moon decides to free everyone that was under her spell, and they all go home.
Mhm.
And that's when the monsters decide to come out of the Everfree. It was kind of weird because it's like, where did this come from? Because this really doesn't mean anything to the story. It's just kind of a he put it in there for filler.
And not really. It was a plot convenience to set up her special talent later on. And it actually is explained why the monsters show up, because Celestia wasn't around anymore for her power to
See,
repel
it's...
them.
Yeah.
They were,
See,
they weren't
it's still
afraid.
Celestia's fault because she's gone.
This is like a month after Celestia's been banished, and all of a sudden the monsters decide to come out of the Everfree. And Nightmare Moon is warned by none other than Zecora.
Yes.
Who else would notice all the monsters? She lives in the forest.
Way.
It's amazing she
I know,
wasn't
right?
eaten.
The timber wolves are howling!
They're racist monsters.
All of the monsters in the F reports are racist.
So Nightmare Moon decides to fly to Ponyville, split herself into dozens of clones of Nightmare Moon.
Okay, that's where it got ridiculous. Let's all agree on that, can we?
Yeah, that was just silly.
Nope.
Well,
Have you seen Dragon Ball Z? No, I'm joking. No.
No, I'm not going to watch that show.
well, I mean, we already know that she can do it. I mean, when in the first episode of the series, she transforms into 3 Shadow Bolts.
And then earlier in the story, she transforms herself into an entire contingent of guards to infiltrate the castle.
Right. So she knows that she can do it, and she does mention that it makes herself weaker, more vulnerable. You know, so it's like she's taking her power and splitting it up into dozens of people, making herself dozens of times weaker.
But that's my problem with this. I mean, what's more powerful, one being of infinite power or a dozen beings of semi-infinite power?
You have dozens of monsters attacking the city. The problem with it was
Remind me of a Powerpuff Girls
she
episode.
couldn't-
The city of Ponyville is under attack! Again!
And it's funny because the main 6 are also trying to help. They're evacuating the city while she's fighting off the monsters. And each of them have their own kind of like encounter with one of the clones of Nightmare Moon.
Like Pinkie Pie's solution to destroy them.
Yeah,
That was the ultimate solution. Make a whole bunch of decoys that, when they're attacked, knock them out. Done!
Yeah, indeed.
Why is it that the best defenses only come from Pinkie Pie? The party
cannon.
the cake
I so
cannon.
need to get that invention. I need someone to make a party cannon, and like I just need to like take you with me wherever I go, like on a little street, on a leash or something. Come on, party cannon, just walking on the street. What's that you got there? Want to find out?
I would rather have a base cannon. But, yeah. Anyways, I would have figured that the most offensive pony in Ponyville would have been Derpy.
I see what you did there.
Oh, I know. That's an
well,
old
it's
joke.
funny because Derpy was in there too. She actually saved Derpy and Dinky.
Yeah. That was really,
The
that was
Derpy
really
Dinky
nice.
stories.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those. Even
They're usually really good too, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
I made a Derpy Dinky story, which I think Chris is reading, or Befallen Tragedy. Yeah. Anyways,
Yes, I am.
moving on. Digressing.
That's next
Wait,
week's
really?
review. No.
Okay, good.
No, I'm kidding.
I didn't want to review my story. All right.
They start introducing like non-canon creatures as well because you have the
Scorpius Minor, the
they
Lupus
took the
Minor.
idea of the Ursa Major and they made it into these Canis lupins
The
and
Lupus Miners and the Scorpius Miners.
But now, but I thought in the new season 2 revision, I thought they changed it to Timberwolves.
No, it was still Lupus Miners.
Yeah, not as far
Okay.
as I know. There weren't any Timberwolves in the version that I read, and I'm pretty sure it was the
Timberwolves.
season 2 version.
Timberwolves were only mentioned once, in that the Lupus Miners were bigger than them.
Okay.
Slightly. And kind of scarier. That's really the only time Timberwolves were mentioned.
And so they pretty much clear Ponyville out. And
Everyone lives, yay.
they all meet back at the town square where Nightmare
So
Moon
once again,
puts
the
herself
day
back together,
is saved thanks to the elements of harmony. I know.
Not
right?
really.
But the funny thing is that Nightmare Moon was like completely just. I don't even know what to call it because she was just like
She was beaten the fuck up.
exhausted. She had cuts all over herself. Like one of her wings was broken. She had a limp, and
Don't forget, one of her clones was eaten.
Almost eaten.
Oh, it was eaten. Okay.
all seen, but it was saved.
By the Powerpuff Girls.
Every injury she received during the fight, for all of her clones was basically combined into one body with everything.
Yeah.
Right.
I like
Scaled
how they did that because that
It's
you
the
know
opposite
when
of
you
Voltron.
get injured, one clone just like sometimes disappears, but having the injuries of all those clones makes it a bit more realistic, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't the same injury. They were lesser than what was received on the actual clone, but they were all there.
Right.
How many injuries do we receive?
The hurt has been
The
doubled.
hurt has been triplified.
And-
Oh, not again. Anywho,
That's when the Lupus Major shows up, right?
Yeah, the big wolf.
the
The
fat
big-
wolf
the big-
shows up.
Like, yeah, wolf. And that's when Twilight decides to try to fight it herself, but Nightmare Moon won't have any of it, and teleports her, Fluttershy, and Rainbow Dash to her castle.
I thought you
where
said
all the
cabin at
other-
first. Anyways, moving on to a rustic cabin in the woods.
Cabin in the wolf.
And thus the fight between the injured Nightmare Moon and the
Lupus Major.
begins.
That was a damn stupid
What?
move.
Yeah, especially since Twilight really could have handled it.
Yeah, I think Twilight could have too. Especially, like a mother protecting her daughter. Yeah.
Plus, Twilight even says herself, like, I've handled the Ursa Minor, and this thing's a whole lot smaller. I can levitate this. No
Yeah.
problem.
Smaller, but 4 times more as ferocious, though, as they say in the story.
Ferocity has no bearing on weight.
Yeah. Do,
True.
do.
But anyway,
do,
that actually ties into her cutie mark, though. We'll get into that later. But she ends up defeating it while shocking herself.
So she
Yeah.
shoots it and her at
At
the same
the
time.
same
Lightning.
time.
Yay, lightning! So basically, think Palpatine from Episode 3.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
Oh, I was gonna think Darth Vader from Episode 6. Whenever he's carrying the Palpatine, and he's still shocking him and throws him over the edge.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that's
Either way, someone
Yay,
gets hurt.
nerdiness. Yeah.
And not just any someone.
Oh
Nightmare.
Oh,
no!
The villain/hero. Now that we've been talking about this is a lot like Star Wars. My
Well,
God.
the thing is with stories, I mean, Star Wars is taken from a bunch of different stories. A lot of stories are compilations of other stories put together. It's from the writer's own perspective and what they've seen before and what they've heard and their own ideas. A lot of those come from stories. Stories are something that everyone's heard.
Star Wars follows the hero's
Yeah.
journey, which is a classic writing
Yeah.
mythology.
And actually, if you look at Star Wars, there are quite a few scenes where, if you look at them, they're mimicked from a few other movies as well. Some scenes, like the scene with Luke's house family on fire, that relates to another movie with almost the exact same setup in the scene. But but I was just talking. What I was going with that was stories in general are taken from derivatives of other stories combined into a writer's perspective and what they've seen and felt. It's all about stuff like that.
Like you and I were talking about last night, every possible
Pretty
story
much,
has
yeah.
been told. Now we're just doing the variations and
Which
combinations
makes stories
of all these
original
stories.
in that way, combinations, variations, making it your own in a sense.
Oh, okay, anyways, yeah, she goes back, she fights this Canis Major, she beats it, and then she goes back to the cat. Wait, no, she falls there on the ground. She's severely
She goes back
injured.
to no wait, she got hurt.
She walks back.
She lives back to the castle and collapses there when she's at the castle.
Right, and then everybody starts taking care of her.
Not right away. Twilight starts begging for help. A lot of ponies just start walking away.
And
Redheart helps, I know that.
Yeah, Nurse Redheart helps. Dr. Stable, who helped Rainbow Dash in her episode, helped. And Twilight's friends, obviously. Cheerilee and a handful of other ponies.
Yep.
Fluttershy.
Well, they all carry her inside and pretty much turn the castle into like a refugee camp.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all the damage from the monsters.
Monsters? Cookie Monster?
No, he's a vegetable monster now, remember?
Stupid veggie monster.
a
That's
veggie
just stupid. Anyway.
Makes me think of Veggie.
Oh, Digimon has such horrible names for the characters. Anyways, digressing, but the Cookie Monster is amazing.
Anyway,
Cookie.
that's when she's too weak to lower the sun. She can't do that spell, and so the sun hangs in the air for like a day. So it's like perpetual sunset for the entire day, and ends up. I think it's Applejack comes to talk to her and says we need to free
The princesses,
Celestia.
yeah.
I thought it was the mayor.
No,
Yeah.
it was Applejack, I think. Because Applejack was talking about the effect it was having on the crops and stuff.
I don't remember that scene.
I don't remember anything.
At any rate, Twilight decides to talk to Nightmare Moon about how to break the spell. And she first is reluctant because she thinks that as soon as the Royal Pony Sisters come back, they're going to banish her.
Which is not unfounded.
Yeah, completely sound.
But eventually she does tell her how to free Celestia and Luna, and they do it. They free them.
Yeah, then Celestia comes down and has that cheesy ass speech about, oh, the sun is so warm and inviting, it's like a caregiver. And
she should have came back with a tan. I just think that would have been hilarious. She has some sunglasses, like a beach ball or something. Hello, every pony. And then magic is all away.
Aloha.
Where have you been? Some island called Bermuda. Oh. Wait, where'd you get aloha from then? Never mind. Moving on.
So, that's a grass dirt. That's an idea I can get behind. Onwards, that was awkward.
As I always say. Wrong.
So they, the first thing that happens is they decide to help Nightmare Moon get healed or recovered fully. And Celestia sends Luna out to talk to all the other ponies about what Nightmare Moon has done, and therefore decide her punishment, if they're how severe it is, and if there should even be a punishment.
Okay, this scene, in my mind, this is the shining scene of this whole story. It's whenever Luna talks to Applejack. I love the scene. It's probably my favorite out of any story I've ever read. Just that scene where Applejack's just like contemplating, and she, well, I'm the element of honesty, and here's what I think. And she just lays it out that she does deserve it. She does deserve a punishment, but yet she doesn't at the same time.
Exactly. It's one of those stories where he's like, oh, you did all this, but I was under mind control and stupidity. Why don't you understand that? Stupidity's one hell of a drug.
Applejack's help, Luna goes and talks to the mainstay, Cheerily, and the other CMC, right? And it's funny because this is when the elements of harmony show their true feelings, because Fluttershy is like, oh, she needs to be forgiven. And Rainbow is like, well, no, she needs to be punished because she,
Her request, yeah.
Yeah, because she's...
Unbound kindness versus loyalty to everyone.
And loyalty wants to, have her be punished because she messed with all of Equestria.
And Rarity's willing to let her go because, generous.
Right.
Yep.
But once again, it comes down to that tiebreaker that is Applejack to be truly honest.
And the funny thing is that after Moon is done talking to him, I think Applejack asks her, do you know what you're going to do? And Moon says, no, I'm even more unsure now than I was this morning.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually goes and talks to Celestia, and right before she announces what her plan is, she talks to Nightmare Moon and says, who are you? Are you Nightmare Moon or are you Nyx?
All of the above.
She's the best.
She's got the best
so
of
after
both mares.
AR, shut up now.
No, please, no.
Anyways, after Nightmare Moon Nyx gets all healed up, and the princesses decide, okay, it's time to decide your punishment. And they take her to a room, and then they tell Twilight, sorry, you have to stay outside.
Yeah, remember how well that
went
last time?
Wait, no.
Anyways, they push her outside, and all Twilight can hear is like a spell, something go off, a light, and then she starts freaking out with all these ideas. Oh my god, they banished her to the moon. Oh my god, she's gone. I'm so sorry.
Rage shift.
And then whenever the doors finally open, Twilight goes into her mad mother
face. That's a horribly great description of what you've just said.
She's
Rapidash, I choose you.
she gets very angry. It's that mother's rage, yeah, that her child was hurt. But as it turns out, they didn't banish Nightmare Moon / Nightmare Moon. They stripped all of the power she had from Nightmare Moon, gave it back to Lunas, and now Luna's like the full-fledged Alicorn now. Ooh, yay! Who cares?
It's equal. Woohoo!
And then now Nyx is a filly again.
Yay!
And they're like, her punishment is she has to stay with you, Twilight Sparkle. And I think that's
She's
pretty
stuck
accurate
with you for the
punishment.
rest of your life, Twilight. I mean, we're so sorry for you.
Sucker!
Food you.
Uh-huh. And
Alright, who wants to go over the last scene, the last chapter?
not me. Well, isn't the last chapter just basically going over Twilight Sparkle sending letters to Celestia?
It's a fluff piece. Basically, it's saying how some of the residents still don't.
Yeah, it's like a
forgive her,
synopsis letter
but,
to Celestia or whatever on recent events.
Yeah.
But something very important has happened. Nyx gets her cutie mark. And what's her cutie mark? Well, it turns out it's Shining Armor's
My
cutie mark.
cutie mark. No.
More or less.
It's a shield. Yeah.
Oh, it's the Millennium Shield from Yu-Gi-Oh! Never mind. No, I'm not going to go there. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah, it's a shield, and she's like, oh, it's because, I protect ponies like she did in the battle for Ponyville.
And from what she said later, when she was willing to take the punishment, when Twilight was trying to take the punishment for Nyx refused.
Nyx
to let
kicked
that
her and said,
happen.
no!
She
I
could
won't
take
let you get her! She's
that
like
normal
beating her up.
person.
No! I'll do it! Did you eat? Sorry. Have you eaten? Tim Hawkins reference.
Okay,
It was
Not
Tim
really, I'm
Hawkins
kinda
reference,
hungry.
but anyways.
now, let's get to
Thoughts?
our final verdicts. Honestly,
Well, hold on. There was one very important thing in the last chapter that happened that you didn't mention yet.
the Pinkie Pie party.
Of
Of
course!
course.
It's a party by me! How can you
There
not
was-
love it?
I think
Sorry.
I was involved somehow. Yeah. Multiple.
Pinkie
parts.
Pie throws multiple parties in the last chapter. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Multiple parties.
Now, because the story was so much, it wasn't a one shot like Cupcakes or MLD. We're gonna, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give it, and why? Lightning, you're first.
Well, I definitely like the story. It's as far as the fandom goes, one of the most infamous stories.
Infamous. That means
written.
not famous. That
Oh.
means horror. That means famous for a bad reason. That's infamous.
It's famous and infamous because there's people who absolutely hate this story.
I can get a
But,
hardcover novel for it too. Should probably do that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I am one of the people that actually like the story. I like the idea of Twilight, in that kind of caregiver role. I don't know why. It's heartwarming, and I like stories like that. So, for me, I'd probably give it a 8, simply because there are some scenes like the attack on Ponyville that just seem kind of out of place in a story like this. But then again, when a story is 200,000 words long, the story itself, when I was reading it, I'm like, towards the end, I'm like, the beginning of this story is a completely different feel than
that's
the
how
end
most
of the
stories
story.
go, anyways. Like on a linear path that goes up and down like a roller coaster, sort of, and you go up and then down and then back up in the end of the story. It starts off dark most often, up and then down and up. Most adventure stories are like that.
But yes, I did like it, and so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I also really like the story, so I give it a Matt Smith.
Yeah, I see what you did there, good sir.
Yeah, but no, I give it. I'd say I give it like an 8.5 or a 9. It was definitely good. I do have a couple qualms with it. Mostly, like you said, the fight at the end was kind of out of place. I think there could have been other ways with it that weren't so tone shifting to show her protective nature. It's really more of a minor quip though. And the entire time I'm reading this, I'm like, tell Celestia, just tell Celestia. I am a huge proponent that nothing is worse than what you can imagine. So if you don't know, then obviously bad things are going to happen because you're thinking of the worst possible situation. If Twilight just came forward, all this could have been avoided because Celestia wouldn't have been worried the entire time, or at least came forward like after a month or so, and she had evidence to prove that she wasn't Nightmare Moon.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm going to give it an 8.5.
I'll probably give it an 8.5 out of 10 for a lot of the reasons you gave, E-Dragon. But it's a very well done story. I personally love the novelistic, artistic approach where he has with that writing style, where it just flows so well. And it's more of an art in the writing, how it's written to me, at least. But I personally just love when stories get into that kind of detail. The story itself was very well done. A very long story. It's hard to write such a long 200,000 word story like that and have it be so long. There are longer stories, but to keep without having too many flaws in the story, because oftentimes when you're writing something so long, you often have a loophole by accident. But obviously they did blah and editing and reviewing and such. But overall, I did like the story. Very well done, and I love the writing style to it. So I'll get like 8.5, 9 out of 10. Blah.
Okay. I hate to do this. It's a well written story, but that for me that doesn't factor into the full review. I give it.
You psychotic moron!
It was good.
You blasphemous!
Hold on. It was good. It was good enough. Like it was an okay story, but it had a lot of major things I didn't like. And then there's the added. I would give it an 8, but then there's the added thing of basically they're going to revise it to fit with the canon each season.
Oh, really? They're going to change it again?
Yeah. They already said they're going to do a season 3 revision.
Huh.
So that lowers it to a 6 because you shouldn't have to change your story to fit with canon. It's called fan fiction for a reason.
They did a season 2 revision, but it was very minor. They added Cadence and Shining Armor in there, and they mentioned him a couple of times.
And they added Pee-wee, the bird.
Well, yeah, they added Pee-wee as well.
Yeah, it was really just kind of like it probably only added up to like 1,000 words that was really added to it. They Cadence had the rebellion, Shining Armor was in charge of the Canterlot Force. It was really very minor changes. I
know, but if they keep on doing this, then a lot of minor changes can lead up to a lot of major changes, and I don't want to see that happen. So I'm going to stick with giving it a 6 out of 10. That's my final verdict.
Okay.
And so,
so you want to maybe give it like 2 verdicts? 8 out of 10 because for the actual story, and 6 out of 10 for what they're doing to it?
No. I'm just giving it 6 out of 10. That's
Hater.
it.
Okay.
So now, just one thing I want to add before we finish off is just that I'm gonna give a shout out because the way I read this story is that half of it is actually done on as a reading. There's a person on YouTube called Voces Sueños that actually is friends with Penstroke and has started a reading of Past Sins, but he's only up to chapter 13 in it. So I listened to his reading for the first 13 chapters and then read the rest of it. But if you are one of the people that don't particularly...
If you don't want to be an egghead, then go listen to the story on YouTube at the link provided eventually somewhere, blah, I guess.
Yes.
There will be a link eventually.
Okay. Now we come to my favorite part where I get to spotlight one of my favorite fics that is still in progress. This week is a story called The Foal in the Basket by Pony Blue. It's on FanFiction. We'll provide the link. But it's a very good story that follows up the Canterlot wedding tale, where basically Twilight Sparkle becomes the... she becomes the guardian for Shining Armor and Chrysalis's Foal. It's a really good story.
Oh, this story.
It's funny. You guys should all read it. Don't be put off by the picture. It has nothing to do with Apple Bloom. The picture's just filler, I'm going to guess. But yeah.
Yeah, buy some apples.
Anyways, go read it. Go review it. It's awesome. And next week, we will probably be reviewing either Discordant or Anthropology. And leaving us, we have AR singing the greatest TV hits of the 90s.
Captain Planet, he's a hero, gonna take pollution down to zero. I don't know the rest of the words.